where I would caution Ryan is projecting too forward with it.
Hmm.
I think there's been this like, oh my gosh, like this sets up for 2026. I've just lived this too many times where like next year's gonna be a completely different
Completely
team.
different.
They have a ton of moves to make, and I I wouldn't put too much stock in what you're seeing now in terms of for next year.
Hello and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson. That's our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello. Today is Monday, November 24th. The New York Jets are coming off a loss to the Baltimore Ravens in Week 12, and we're here to break down that loss with Brian Costello to figure out what exactly we could take away from this loss, whether positives, whether negatives, which one was more, and ultimately where this team is heading the rest of this season. But before we get to any of that, Mr. Costello, how are you doing today, sir?
Tired, Ryan, tired. Early train from Baltimore this morning.
How early? How early are we talking?
Nah, it was 7:45-ish, but like yeah, I was up at 6:30, so that's too early for me, Ryan.
Yeah, I hear you. That's funny. Look, guys, another loss for this Jets team, 2-9. They are heading quickly into a top draft pick, as we know. I was reading your piece on Sports Plus, which all of you Jets fans should be subscribed to already. Go to postsportsplus.com, subscribe. You get to read all of Kaz's great info and takeaways from the Jets team and his coverage there. I'm interested to see, are you a believer in the moral victories here? Because that is the sense I am getting from a lot of coverage here about this Jets team and what to take away from yesterday, even though they didn't come away with a victory.
Yeah, I've been shocked, Ryan, at how positive it's been. You know, even the post-game press conference, I thought some of my brethren, some of the questions they were asking, like, were kind of surprising post-game. Look, yeah, I get it. I would say they played well, and the last 2 weeks have kind of been similar, right? They were overmatched, better teams, and they played hard. They kept it close, but they ultimately lost. So nothing to like scream about, and they they they're losing normal, which is something we talked about earlier in the season. Is I thought Jets fans would be okay if they lost normal, not like they were losing some of those games to Denver or Miami, and a few of those.
Right.
Where I would caution Ryan is projecting too forward with it. I
Hmm.
think there's been this like, oh my gosh, like this sets up for 2026. I've just lived this too many times where people take what happens usually a little later in the season than this even. We've started a little earlier on this theme, but like projecting stuff that happens in December as to like it's going to carry over next year. Like next year's going to be a completely different
Completely
team.
different.
They have a ton of moves to make, and I wouldn't put too much stock in what you're seeing now in terms of for next year. Like for Jets fans, the one I remember best was 2013. Jets won three of their last four games. They finished 8-8. They bring Rex back. Everyone's feeling great. They were like, "Oh, this team's just a few moves away. They're gonna improve off of 8-8." And they went 4-12. They had a disastrous offseason, horrible draft. Didn't messed up the cornerback position completely. So yeah, I get like John Metchie looks like a good pickup, but if you're doing this right, John Metchie is your third or fourth receiver next year,
Yes.
right? Like I feel like people are talking about right now like he's Jerry Rice, and so
We found
I
our
think
starting slot receiver, Kaz. Can you believe it?
I know I think people are starved for anything like, but like he had 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown, which was good. It's like there was no expectations. I get it, but that's not like let's throw a parade for him. So. Um,
Look,
Yeah, I get it. People are starved for anything right now, and they're trying to project some good stuff here, but they're still 2-9.
yeah, and there's still six more games left, which is why I find it so true in what you're saying about how, Ryan, we're at this point where we're already projecting ahead, but there's still so much football left to be played. And I'm still of that mindset of, let me evaluate now and what I'm seeing on the field and not project to the future. And what I'm seeing now is still a team that felt like, Kaz, yesterday, a chance to win a football game. And
Yeah,
they squandered it away in the second half. And I think
yeah,
coaching and ultimately the offense fell short yesterday. And I wonder, do you feel that this could be blamed on Tanner Engstrand? Because I thought his play calling was curious, and Glenn's game management was curious yesterday in the second half. I just want to hear your takeaways on how that played out.
Yeah, for me, it was three things in the second half, right? First, it was defensive penalties. And you might say they weren't good calls. I actually have not even been able to watch the game back yet, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Isaiah Oliver one. I'd like to watch that a little closer, but he gets called for that, and that extends that drive. That was the first drive of the second half for the Ravens. They go down and score. Then Tony Adams gets flagged at the goal line, which I thought looked like a good call in real
Yeah, he
time.
mauled him.
Yeah, so then they extend that drive and score.
Which again, why is Tony
So
Adams
those
lined up on Zay Flowers on third down there, guys?
so there's that. Then the second thing is Aaron Glenn. I did not agree with going forward on fourth down in this situation. I know the analytics say go for it, but to me, your defense was playing really well first half. You're playing field position game, like keep doing it, keep playing field position, pin them down. And Austin McNamara, like we can joke all we want, like he's probably, he and Nick Folk are the most consistent players on the team. So use that weapon, pin them down inside the 10, and maybe you get the ball back at the 50. God forbid I say they may get a turnover, but like you maybe get the ball back at the 50 and you can do something with it, keep it a 10-7 game. So I didn't like Glenn's decision to go forward on fourth down.
Yep.
And then finally Breece Hall fumbles, going in when it made look like they were going to make it 20-17, and who knows what happens then. He fumbles. So to me, it was those were the key. I didn't focus on Engstrand as much, right? Like it's an interesting point. But to me, it was those three areas: the defensive penalties, Glenn's fourth down, and then Breece's fumble.
Yeah, I think those are three definitely big talking points from the game itself. But I think, yeah, the reason why I talk about Tanner Engstrand is because I didn't love the play design on the fourth down play. I didn't
On fourth
love.
down.
Yep, I didn't like his play design calls on multiple of the third downs. One, I think the first of the game where I think Tyrod checked into the run, it looked like. The second time
Yeah.
is 3rd and 6, and they hand the ball off to Isaiah Davis. It's just, it feels like the Jets are in between right now with the offensive play calling, where are we going to be conservative or are we going to be aggressive? And that kind of falls into the Aaron Glenn part where you talk about fourth down where he shouldn't have gone for it. Are we going to be aggressive or are we going to be more conservative like we were in the first half where we were playing the field position game? So that part to me, I really want to analyze and critique Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand, where it's like, make up your mind and figure out where you want to go as a team, because I don't know how to evaluate you right now when I have serious question marks about this coaching staff and their experience and how they're managing these games.
Yeah. Well, I think the third down to Isaiah Davis, I think in that situation, they knew they were going for it on fourth down, right? As long as he didn't lose yards there, probably. So you're trying to cut the yardage in half. You're not going to throw
It's the
there.
Lions
You
mentality,
know,
which they did with Ben Johnson a lot, where they ran it
yeah.
on third and fourth down. They would go for it to make it shorter.
Try right. Try to get it to fourth. Try to get it to 4th and 2. That's where you want it. Uh, I'm interested. I need to watch that fourth down back. Glenn said Mitchell was open. He said on a call this morning with us. So I'm curious to see that. I'd like to see more of an option on that play. Like I like on those like fourth down. It's almost like a goal line play to me. Is like roll Tyrod out. Tyrod did a really good job of like avoiding the rush. I thought yesterday he was very elusive. So like roll him out. Let's see if he can. If there's nothing there, he can take off with the ball, or he has a short pass, not just kind of drop back and throw it out to Metchie. I didn't love that play design, but I'm not going to kill Engstrand on that, Ryan. Like I do think. I think the fourth down stuff's interesting, right? Or the short yardage, because if they hand the ball off, like how many times in the last few years did they just hand the ball off, running up the middle, and we screamed like, "Oh my God, what are they doing?" And then so they're trying, throwing the ball on fourth down, which I think is the way to go in these situations. It's almost a can't win. If you don't make it, we're going to criticize you, whatever you do. But I think Tyrod showed he can still run a little bit, and so I would take advantage of that.
I agree with you, Kaz. I just there's this fan base, and obviously I'm a Jets fan myself. It's just I'm seeing a lot of comments, even from what Frankie and I did the post game yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to see it today. You guys are being too negative on this team, and like you said before about there's a lot of positivity about this Jets team and how they played yesterday.
Yeah.
Look, I think they outplayed the Ravens in certain parts of the game, but the Ravens ultimately showed they have more talent on their roster. and they were able to overcome the mistakes. But the things that you've said, Kaz, are things that we've seen all year long. Too many defensive penalties, too many to times where game management, where you're like, was that the right decision or not? And I just feel like I'm starting to get a better idea of what Aaron Glenn is a head coach and potentially what this coaching staff is put together. And I'm starting to question if that's going to be the right leadership group going into next year. Am I wrong to read it that way when I watch a game like that against the Ravens? Because it feels
Yeah,
like,
I didn't come away thinking that, Riley.
okay,
I didn't like the fourth down call, but I
yeah,
certainly understand it. Like, and analytics, I think he goes by analytics. Like, I think that's what we've learned about Aaron. I don't think there's much gut with Aaron Glenn, which kind of surprises me since he was a player. I think he's doing, he has John Berger in his ear telling him what the analytics said. And I have to look back if there was any decisions this year where I was like, he went against analytics. I feel like he pretty much rolls with that.
okay.
So, I'm not going to crush him on that. I didn't agree with it, but I didn't come away like, questioning his coaching ability off of this one. And I do think they are better. They're playing better now than they were playing in September, which is what we said in September is like, you got to see they're going to be playing better November, December. They are. Like the last month has been pretty good, right? They beat two teams that they were similar weight class of. I'll put the Bengals in the Jets weight class with no Joe Burrow. Obviously, they're different with Burrow, but the Bengals and Browns, similar teams to the Jets, they win those two games. Then they play two teams that are better than them, have much more talent than them, and the Patriots and the Ravens, and they hung with them. So I think that's positive. And now you've got two teams that again are similar to them, Falcons and Dolphins. Can they win these games? Which I know will send some people over the edge that are looking at tankathon every day. But I think that's the question right now.
Well, the question also is should be like, does Glenn need these wins more than anything else? Because you're talking about hanging in there with these better teams. It's part of that moral victory thing of taking those
Yeah,
small steps where look better. They're playing better football, which they are, but like it's I don't know how to say it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. Like you're talking about little incremental wins and moral victories of, hey, we're playing better football. Be proud of that. In a really lost season. And a season that's been over ultimately since mid-October.
yeah, yeah. I think he needs to win, Ryan. And I've heard this idea of like this season doesn't really count for Aaron Glenn. Like, yeah, he's not getting fired. I've said that since forever. But I promise you, if next year doesn't go well and people are citing reasons to get rid of Aaron Glenn, they're going to count these games. So, so if he goes 2-15 this year, and let's say they start off, 1-6, it's going to be, hey, he's 3-21 as the head coach.
Yep.
It's not going to be, oh well, you know what? That was
Last year
that
didn't
first year
count.
didn't,
Yeah, it's all
they were trying to
evaluation.
figure out, they were trying to evaluate the talent. They really weren't. We didn't care about the wins. No one's going to say that. Look at Dable, right? Dable's record was thrown down, and people even chopped off Dable's first year when they cited his record a lot because it was like that was good. That didn't go with the storyline. So, no one's gonna give him a pass here in the future on these games. So I do think he needs to win. I think he needs to win just to reinforce his message and to show these guys, to make them believe and buy in further. I think it's tough to have full buy-in if you're losing games. So I do think that he needs to get some wins here. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of them on the schedule, but could they win two games? Could they win three games? Possibly. I think three's the ceiling, but I could see it. I mean, the Falcons, Dolphins, and Saints are the ones that are in their
Yep.
their weight class to me.
Yep. This 3 game stretch is so critical for one, if they can reel off more wins, and two, where they're ultimately going to end up in the draft position, like you pointed out before, Kaz. Um, I am interested to hear your thoughts, considering I've been so negative here in this episode. What are some positives you saw out of yesterday that you would like to highlight about this Jets team yesterday, besides John Metchie?
I think the run defense has really improved in the last two
I agree.
weeks. I thought they did a really good job run defense wise. I think the linebackers are playing better. Quincy, I thought they were flying
Sherwood
around
was
making
awesome
tackles.
yesterday.
I think Briggs and Phillips have done a good job in the middle. That was a question when they traded Quinnen, but they've done a good job. So I think Steve Wilkes, I'm not giving him a contract extension, but I think people need to slow down on firing him. He they had a good game plan yesterday. They did a good job. I do not think Lamar is 100%, and I think that helped the Jets yesterday, but I thought they did a good job against the run. Obviously Metchie, like I knocked him down a little bit before, but he's playing well, and it's pretty impressive for a guy who wasn't here a month ago to come in and have that kind of impact. Mitchell was open some, he had a one big catch,
Yep.
uh, but they get him more involved. They started throwing to Breece more, which I think is probably a function of Tyrod more than anything else. And obviously that worked well in that one drive until the fumble. He had the 40-yard reception, and then he had the other like 11, 12-yard reception. So I thought that was good. So yeah, there were positives in the game to me.
I completely agree with you on all those points. I think another thing that I wanted to note was um, Breece was putting together like a hell of a drive there before that fumble. Like he
Yeah.
looked like a truly like superstar type running back that we had hoped for. Like, hey, this might be the Breece moment right here, like you've been hoping for as a fan. And he was taking over that game at that point. Just a tough moment there. And it sucks to see him because like I don't know if you get to see the TV copy at all yet, but like he was really down on the sidelines like after that fumble. And you could see he was wearing it, which stinks for him, man, because like he had a great drive until that moment. And again, I might be negative here again, but the defense does not force another turnover. They don't get another interception.
Yeah.
They're setting record here now with no interceptions this season. Um, the secondary, like, is it them? Are you seeing anything differently here? Like, I don't know how else I can ask you and like why they're not being able to force at least
Yeah.
an interception here.
I don't have answers, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's partly the secondary, but also like I don't know. I saw the highlights of the Chiefs Colts game, right? And defensive end bats the ball in the air from Patrick Mahomes and picks it off for the Colts. Like, right? Like
Yes.
that's not the quality of your quarterbacks. It's just a guy getting his hands in the ball. I do think there hasn't been many tip passes by the Jets defensive line. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I don't know if there's something that they're not doing there, but I do think that, you know, tip passes are the easiest way to an interception, and that hasn't really happened for the Jets. But yeah, I'm mystified by the whole thing, and the fumbles is almost as incredible. I mean, one recovered fumble is just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah, I mean that speaks in part to again like the Ravens. They make a great play there towards the end of the game. The Jets just can't come up with a turnover when they needed to or forcing a sack. Like I think also the big talking point here is I know Will was battling another injury this week. It's like Jermaine and him did not have a great day in terms of pressures and getting after Lamar. Which I know what you're gonna say.
That quarterback's tough, Rye.
I
That
know, but he's
quarterback's
banged up
tough.
too.
He's banged up, but he's still elusive enough where when the pressure came, he could gain a yard. Like he had a bunch of runs that were like 1 or 2 yards. You know what I mean? Like those are almost sacks. They're causing a disruption to the play. Like hard for me to ding them on not sacking Lamar. Like I know he's been sacked more this year
More
than
this year
in
than
other
yep.
years. Yeah, but I do think there was pressure. I thought they got some pressure. They just didn't quite get to him. Let's see when Kirk Cousins is there this week. A little more statuesque. Can they get to him? But yeah, I mean, I look the level of expectation might have to come down for Jermaine and Will. Like they're not tearing it up. So you might have to look at it. Would you be happy with 10 sacks and 5 sacks from those guys instead of I think everyone's hoping for them both to be like in double digits, and that's not really happening.
No, it's not. Yeah, look, guys, the final thoughts for you, and I wanted to ask you this too, and something about personnel usage. I'm curious. You think Isaiah Davis has been on the field every single third down? It feels like. Is there a reason for that? I
Yeah.
mean, Breece Hall, you
Yeah,
could
he's a
see,
third down back.
but like, don't you think you should change that up a little bit? I mean, Breece Hall is Breece Hall. Like, when you want to have him out there and
Yeah.
maybe not make it so predictable as a defense defending Isaiah Davis out there.
I mean, there's usually a guy who's a third down back, right? Like going back, Bilal Powell was a third down back, like for a lot of years here, and they put him in on third down. It's kind of a football coaching thing. And I asked Glenn about it this morning. Should you have had Breece on the field for the fourth down? Not, I didn't ask about third down, but 4th and 2. And he said, "Well, we believe in all of our players." So he's not. I think he sees it if he says, "Yeah, he's taking a shot at Isaiah Davis." So that's tricky too. Like you want to show faith in your players, but you know, if you're the Chicago Bulls and the game's on the line, you're getting the ball to Michael Jordan, right? And
Yeah.
he might pass to Steve Kerr or John Paxson. He might pass it off, but you want him involved at least. So I did see that criticism and think it's fair of like why wasn't Breece on the field, but yeah, I think it would have been interesting if Braylon Allen had stayed healthy, what the rotation would have looked like more. But right now, basically what they're doing is Breece is out there first and second down. Davis is out there third down. Occasionally there's a Davis series, like, if Breece needs a rest, I guess. But for the most part, that's been the way they've been doing it.
Certainly has. Brian Costello, we appreciate you always for hopping on here, giving us all your coverage and analysis. We'll be looking forward to talking to you. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, sir. What's your favorite side, real quick, for the fans?
Stuffing. Definitely
Yeah,
stuffing.
yeah, easily, easily. Kaz, we'll catch you later this week, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.